Well, hello there. I am on holiday with my long-suffering beloved, and part of that deal was that I didn't bring all of my kit to many of the places that we're staying. Today, I'd like to discuss something a little bit different, something that I explored when I was on a podcast recently interviewing the lovely Courtney Victoria, a landscape photographer based in the UK who focuses on intimate landscapes within woodland scenes. Now, like all landscape photographers, she and I have something in common. Often we will find ourselves in very remote places at silly o'clock in the morning or at night, and that can leave us vulnerable, particularly when we have a lot of kit on our backs.
Until recently, Courtney wasn't doing workshops, and I wanted to explore why.
The workshops is difficult for me, and I think the main reason why I haven't been doing them, especially locally, is safety. Is making sure safety is very important, making sure that I'm safe on location.
And with that in mind, I wanted her advice. I asked her this question.
Can I follow that up slightly?
Yes.
Because I have got some male photographers that I'm friends with, and they are surprised when I talk about the safety things that I have to put in place to make sure that I'm okay. Because I don't go into woods necessarily, because I'm poor at those, but I'm in the middle of vast-ish landscapes where phone signals are gone, etc., etc., and I have about 5 steps that I will take that my male counterparts will actually say, I don't even think about that.
Yes.
Do you have, forgive me, any tips for the females out there? Just a couple of tips that might say, do this, it really makes a difference.
Now, whilst Courtney was thinking about her response, I have to say I've been pondering. I think I'm talking about general safety of any of us, but perhaps particularly a little bit more females.
If I always tell somebody where I am.
Yep.
As a foremost.
Well, ever since I've been knee-high to a kipper, I've done that. Check!
I have, this probably sounds extreme, but I have a little tracking device that I pop in my car and in my camera bag.
That's a good idea.
It's like the AirTag, but it's the Android version, a tile. Just in case for some reason, in case my camera bag goes missing when I travel, or if I suddenly disappear in the forest, you can sort of track where I have been, and you can find that.
I currently don't have a track, although I am considering it, but what I do use is something that's free, and that's WhatsApp Live Location. So go into an individual or group chat, tap the plus, or sometimes it's a paperclip icon. Then tap the location icon, and make sure you change to share live location. Next, set your duration for sharing from the 3 options on the screen. It can be stopped at any time though. And the most important thing, hit send. Without that, you're not actually sharing your location. Word of warning though, if the signal drops, you may not actually be sharing, thus a tracker may be better.
I also have a tendency to have poor situational awareness. There's a proviso. I have great situational awareness when I'm looking at a particular scene. By heck, I'll notice lots of changes. I'll try and capture them and I'll adapt to the settings. If I'm at a coastal scene, no problem. I'm very aware of where I am and actually my escape route. But I do have a propensity to get so engrossed in a scene I won't have a clue of what's going around me, just quite close either side, and that means I can be vulnerable.
I think it's just being really aware on location. So as I say, sometimes I'm with somebody, but a lot of the time I'm not. It's just I'm always aware of where I'm going, so I know how to get back safely, and who's potentially around me, who's also coming through. Just being aware of what's going on around me while I'm on the location. Something that occasionally somebody will say to me, Courtney, when you're filming, can you look directly into the camera and not the LCD screen as I'm filming? And I'm actually looking into the LCD screen to check what's going on behind me, because I might have heard a noise, and I'm just, I'm not worried, but I'm just seeing, just making sure that no one's passing by, and I'm not going to, startle them, and they're not going to startle me. So it's just being aware of, what's going on around me.
I often leave my house very early or quite late, particularly in the summer months if I'm going to go out and shoot a lovely sunrise or perhaps the Milky Way. Now, sometimes I'm accompanied by my photo buddy Ben or my husband, but more often than not, I am on my own. That can mean I'm a little bit more vulnerable than perhaps some other people would be, particularly with a lot of money on my back.
I'm quite comfortable being in the middle of nowhere, being in the forest. It doesn't bother me at all. The forest is not scary. I'm probably the scariest thing in there, to be honest. so that doesn't bother me. Again, this is going to sound silly, but I can take people down. I think I could take them. And I've usually got 2 tripods with me, and I feel like I could wield that lightsaber, you know?
I'm not a fast runner. I'm not someone who's going to be particularly adept at fighting, even with a fantastic tripod in my hands. And I am prone to saying that I'm going to go to one place, but ending up in another, simply because I found it a little bit more interesting. Problem is that when you've got a camera in your back and you find something fascinating, you do tend to go off track a little bit.
Maybe a tracker might be a sensible option.
When I'm in a group, or if I go somewhere where there's a group of people that I don't know, I will normally look for the most normal looking male, and I will strike up a conversation with them. And I will do it, and I will make sure I say my name, and I will say my surname, which is welcome. And the reason I do that is because I think, you know, if the Sun newspaper prints a story about, you know, a female photographer who's found somewhere, and they get my surname, somebody can then go, I remember her. She was a little bit annoying on location. Spoke to me when I wanted to be completely on my own. But it's just little things like that.
And indeed, in more than one occasion, I've had a photographer just realise that they may need to step in and just give me a little bit of reassurance, maybe distract somebody else, so that I can escape to my car a little bit quickly.
Or even, because my sense of direction is poor, whenever I park up, I do a what 3 words, providing I've got signal.
Yes.
Because, you know, you've got a direct line to wherever it is, because losing your car's not brilliant.
The What 3 Words app puts a grid over the world, with each square having a unique 3-word identification. It seems I've got 116 car parks lodged in my phone. Excellent.
One of the things that as a photographer, I would love males to know is, don't look. If you're there and you see us coming, just make sure your presence is known, even if it's just like, hey, just to let you know I'm over here. That's really helpful, as opposed to standing there and kind of being a little bit, it can come across as steely or a little bit of a threat, particularly if you're doing things like astro. You suddenly see a red light where someone's trying to focus or whatever it is, and flashing in the dark, and you just think, come on. So just announcing yourself and letting us know that you are there is incredibly helpful, because it means no one's getting startled, and you then assess, and just, if someone feels threatened as a woman, you can choose to move on or not, or in my case, snap the hind legs of the donkey.
Clearly, there are going to be those times when perhaps we feel less comfortable in a particular situation. For me, it is cities. I am not good shooting in a city environment when there are lots of people around me, where things perhaps are feeling a little bit edgy, particularly if I need to take my kit off my back, place it on the ground, and try and change a lens or do something else in my bag. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to listen to your gut, whether you are in a city, whether you are at the sea, whether or not you are in just a familiar landscape that doesn't feel right. Listen, react, and get the heck out if you need to. Now, when I first started out on YouTube a couple of years ago, I did get some words and phrases in the feedback that were aimed exclusively at women. You know the kind I'm talking about. And I have to confess, although they weren't very frequent, they were enough to make me rather nervous when I go to some locations. It is for this reason that actually I wanted to do this video. Not to whinge about feedback, because after all I'm a big girl and I can cope, but actually just to get some feedback from you as to how I may and others may decide to keep themselves safe. And again, irrespective of your gender, it doesn't matter. We could all do with a few tips every now and then.
Well, everywhere that we as photographers choose to go is going to have its own issues. I didn't get my big camera out because of the biblical rain. And even the flora and fauna had its own agenda at times.
What a surprise. It started to rain hard again. I really would appreciate your advice, hints and tips as to how you keep yourself safe when you are in the field, or how you would advise somebody else to. Well, thank you for joining me today. And I suppose one of the major messages I need to say is no photo is worth putting yourself in really big danger for. Perhaps I need to remember that. Wherever I am next time, I look forward to taking you with me. Goodbye.